I want to scanner control.
This is the Star Wars Squadrons podcast, season 2, episode 13. Haven't made an episode in a few weeks. I don't really know why. No reason. I guess I needed to think about what I wanted to do, and this was a huge one. I thought I wanted to make this one for a while. They're both buddies of mine, so really hyped to have them on and talk about Squadrons throughout the year and the success they've had recently in this second half of the SCL. I've got the Sheriff and Liven from Hutt Squadron here. Sheriff, say hello first.
Hi, everybody.
Perfect entry, the Marble Master himself. Liven as well, buddy. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Beep, bop, beep, bop.
Beep, boop, 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 beep. I've been tractor beamed by you more times than I can count, so it's with reluctance I had you on, but I decided to have you here too, Liven. I accept you. I accept you still.
Thank you.
Guys, Squadrons, we're like, it's pretty crazy. It's like, what, 9 months now this game has been out? It feels like about 1,000,000 years to me. I don't know. How do you guys feel about it?
It's been a long time.
Everybody expected the games to die after 3 months.
Yeah.
We are still here. We are still alive.
Last man standing, I guess. We're still here. We're still doing it, right?
I mean, on the French Discord, each time a day we have someone asking us if the game is dead, and we are like, no, we are still alive.
Is it dead? Oh yeah, because so that's interesting. Okay, so Liven, you started out playing in the French Discord with the French community a little bit more.
Yeah, that's it. Like the first guy I met in the game was Baron Roux. I don't know if you remember.
I remember him a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I met the Hutt.
Oh, okay.
That's because of him.
And okay, Sheriff, too. We could kind of talk about the Hutts. As I understand it, the Hutts kind of started from like the second team of Death Watch, which was sort of like Namaste, sort of like a premier, player in the early, right? Like, why don't you explain how Hutt kind of started out?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. So a couple of us actually came from Grey Squadron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we branched off and decided to try and do our own thing, and then we kind of got a bit pally with Namaste.
Mm-hmm.
And he invited us along, showed us the ropes and everything, and we ended up forming a second team because he had this kind of grand vision of the 3 syndicates.
Right.
So you'd have Death Watch, the Hutt Cartel, and then I can't remember the other one.
Yeah, I'm not a deep enough Star Wars lore fan. Yeah. But someone in the chat, if they remember, throw it out to us for sure. And also, Katie's Gym Class, thank you very much for hosting us. So it's very interesting that Hutt kind of started that way. So how did you get into the game first, Sheriff? But how did you first start playing? How did you hear about the game before it even launched, or when did you hear about it?
Oh yeah. So I foolishly pre-ordered Battlefront 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's just brush that under the rug a little bit. But and then I was like, I am never pre-ordering a game from EA ever again. I don't care what it is or anything like that. And then boom, about a month before this game comes out, I'm just casually scrolling through like G2A or something, a cheap place where you can get like game keys and stuff. And I saw this game for like 25 quid pre-purchase, but you get some stupid DLC with it. So I just thought, sod it. It looks like the type of game that I'm really, really going to enjoy, that I've been waiting almost 20 years to play if it stands up to what I expect.
Right.
And it's got its problems, but at the heart of it, it's a hell of a feeling.
I mean, I feel like we're kind of like similar, where we're like, we love the game in spite of all those flaws, like we're pretty into it. Did you have a flight?
Like I've got over 1,000 hours in this game.
Yeah.
And it still feels like the same thing every time I launch the game. Still feels amazing.
It's pretty hilarious. I feel the same way. Did you come from a flight sim background too before? Were you playing flight games? No? This was the first one? So you got like a flight stick and everything for this?
Well, a couple of months before, I actually bought Wing Commander Prophecy on Galaxy of Gaming, and I bought a stick for that and realized just how bad I was with it, so I just put it back in the box and never touched it again.
And then Squadrons came.
Yeah, Squadrons. Hang on.
So for Liven, for you, how did you find out about Squadrons and like get into the game?
Okay, so first of all, I was a very huge fan of the Rogue Squadrons game. I don't know if anyone here remembers this.
I'm the same.
Awesome
That was my only that was really the only Star Wars game I like loved, and really the only flight game that I loved. Like that, so that was my background too. Yeah.
That's the same for me. I still have my GameCube next to me with these games. I still play them sometimes. So,
wow.
Love it.
Knowing that, it's my ex-girlfriend who found the trailer of the game, and she sent me the trailer, and I was like, oh my god, it's a dream come true. Someone finally did it. So yeah, I started playing the game. I was a bit busy when the game came out, so I started a bit later. But yeah, that's how I got into the game. So I don't come from flight sim at all. I played and I still play on controller. I'm just a huge fan of these Star Wars immersive games.
The same thing. Like I had a friend kind of just be like, yo, you gotta get this game. He's just a southern guy in the States. He was really he was like hyped on it, and he got like me and like 4 other people to just get it. And I was the only one who lasted more than a month, though. Even him, he didn't even play it. Like, it's so funny that way that like I was like, yeah, sure, Rogue Squadrons. I had familiarity with that. That was my like into it. So I was like, I'll try it out. And then now I've been like more so than any like I mean like you guys, I played like 1,000 hours of this game all the time.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I'm pretty sure this game is like Vegemite or Marmite. It's like some people either love it or hate it. I've got a mate. He's downloaded and uninstalled the game like 3 times. He just can't bring himself to do it. But it's like you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah, I guess there's the certain element. Like for me, I just like right away I would go into the Star Wars Squadron Discord or the Gray Squadron Discord and form up with people and play with them. Like that was my experience for it. So I feel like a lot of people didn't do that though. I don't think they would just go search solo, and I feel like that kind of leads to some more of a negative kind of experience too for it.
To be honest, I played about 1 month of solo before joining any Discord.
That makes sense because you're a solo queue boss, Liven, honestly.
I love solo queue. I've been doing it a lot.
Last operation, I remember like I'd be like 2 stacked, and usually when you're like 2 or 3 stacked, you feel pretty good. Like, but then you would be on the other side, and you would just really messed me up. I was really annoyed by it. I was really frustrated because I was grinding hard that up.
During I think it was season 2 or 3, Operation 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I had the goal to make GA on solo queue only, and I achieved it. That's back when I was still streaming.
When you didn't get minus 50 points for dodging.
I mean, I don't think the dodging existed. But
well, the worst part about it though is like because people would dodge against you, it would be so hard to find a game where you could actually get points. Like that was another challenge. I felt like that just made it so hard to get over the. So for the Hutt Cartel kind of forming, so as I remember it, Deathwatch kind of like they sort of fell apart. They stopped playing, and then but Hutt Cartel was still there like the whole time. Like you guys continued. You guys feel like you were picking up the torch. What was that like? Kind of like establishing that team after they kind of the Namaste and Deathwatch went away.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of weird. So I think it was the January patch that came out, and Namaste was just like, right, fuck this, game's dead, I'm off. And so did a couple others. Both from the cartel and from Deathwatch. It's like I understand that. That's fair. That's chill. But we were a little bit lost as to where to go with it because it was kind of like still under Namaste's, Discord, his wing, and all stuff like that. But we just decided, with his blessing and stuff, of course, that we would go off and try and build the cartel community as opposed to the Namaste Deathwatch cartel community.
So that's a good point. Because Hutt Cartel isn't just like a squad. You guys have built like a community too around it. Like there's a bunch of different people in there. Like, there's a whole scene. So I feel like that's, something to be said for that as well.
Yeah, definitely. We've tried to be proactive in the community. A lot of us stream. A lot of us, sorry, I say a lot of us. One or two of us make YouTube videos. But there's you've heard of Radiant
Of
with his
course.
light trolling going on, so
Oh my
that's
God,
always a bit of
the
fun.
meme god.
I need more. I want more Radiant videos. It's been a minute since he's been putting them out.
Yeah, I'll start pressuring him more, get him to come out with a bit more memey ones, like controlling an ISD or something.
Yeah, there we go. That'd be perfect.
But yeah, so I mean, we started off slow.
Mhm.
Back in January, it was just it was 5 of us. So if we had a disconnect or something, which happened quite frequently in between games or even during games, we had to take that on the chin. But yeah, now we've grown ourselves out. We've got a number of people on the Discord. We've got the makings of a second team, as well as just the cartel in general growing
Hutt Peach, has been
internally and within the community as well.
Yeah, that's
Really quite happy with how things are going.
I totally remember as well in like January, February, you guys were doing, recruiting posts. Like you guys were actively recruiting that whole time for sure. And I mean,
Yeah.
we've always scrimmed against each other too, Orange and Hutt. We've always kind of played with each other too for a long time. So we knew like how strong you guys were, like how good of a team you were. But I feel like just the way Cal Cup kind of goes with like tiebreakers and different things, you guys got the short end of the stick, tough matchups, tough breaks, like honestly more than any other team. And I feel like people didn't realize how good you guys were because of it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I don't mean to. I mean, it's just the luck of the draw, sort of. But, yeah.
At the end of the day, we weren't good enough in the first split, which is like essentially the truth. But we kept getting slammed by randos every time that we were trying to get into the top 16 or get past the top 16. It's like we'd meet randos.
Yeah, exactly.
that was painful, but it was so funny.
Yeah, apparently Remnant has always met IG as well on the way. Like it's funny that it just always kind of works that way. We've struggled to get past the 16, into the top 8. We haven't been able to do it. It's been a host of teams who have stopped us from doing it, though not one. But then I feel like, in the last, there was that one tough break. I remember we were like tied with you guys, and it came down to the tiebreaker. And that one I felt that one I felt horrible about because it was us versus you guys, and that came down. But we were like kind of like, well, we're just gonna be quiet about this one here. Yeah. But in that tournament as well,
have a nice time.
You guys beat Splinter though in that one too, right? Like I feel like that was
we did.
Kind of. I don't know. So there was something really like a glimmer there, even though it was like probably a negative experience because it came down to a tiebreaker that you lost out on. You must have seen that, been like, hey, we've got something going on here for sure, right?
Yeah, we always try and at least laugh at ourselves and figure out what went wrong, and then try and build on that somewhat. And obviously Splinter went on top form, but we took that round from him, so that was a really important morale booster for us, and it shows we're capable of a lot more than we give ourselves credit for sometimes.
Oh, for sure. You guys were flying 100 miles per hour on that one. Actually, something too that I haven't really mentioned at all is that in like the earlier year too, like we're talking about Radiant making videos as well. Like you guys had kind of, you guys were doing the work too, right? Like you, as we talked about, I have it in here. It was the Sheriff bounce before it was the multi-drift, right? But you guys kind of kept it, as I think was smart, and other before Fankar made the video. It was just kind of like internal info, right? So I don't know. Do you want to talk about that at all? How you're using it, or your thoughts on it?
Well, I kind of discovered it by accident because I'm pretty sure that I was doing it from about November onwards, but I never really looked into it because I was creating the diagrams for where all the turrets were and stuff like that, and the health of the subsystems, and just generally trying to figure out how the game worked and the mechanics. So one day I saw it again, and then I said, right, I'm going to jump into a custom, and I'm actually going to figure this thing out. So I found the limitations and everything of it, gave it a stupid name, the Sheriff Bounce, and that was back in like January. Showed the team, and then decided to keep it under wraps for a bit. And then Fenkar switched to mouse and keyboard,
Mhm.
and then he was like, "Oh my god! Immediately, look at this, and then they showed the community, and then I
might,
Yeah.
well,
I got
maybe
it in
I
the
did see
neck
it,
a
but
bit for
Ham
that.
kind of I think it was Ham. Maybe I'm mistaken. I think it was Ham who was in
Yeah,
the
it's
video.
Ham.
Oh,
yeah, I think
it was
Ham.
Ham.
I think
Yeah.
Ham had a tip. So I think I feel Ham probably realized too. I mean, he was a premier support player
Yeah,
even
Ham
then,
took
so he
Fenkar, I
kind of
remember.
knew what was going on. I think there as well. So it seemed like people were kind of coming from a different angles, and I mean, honestly, in
Yeah.
that video, Fenkar doesn't really say this is how you do it either or anything. It's not like that. It's just like this is something crazy that can happen. I think he says he spams the drift button. I think that's all he really says in it, but I can't really remember.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. Something to that effect. I just don't remember it being so much of a how to. This is how to do it or whatever, which is kind of just showing the possibility. Which is really cool. It's still, I mean, what do you think the limitations on the multi-drift are? Do you think like there's I mean, I think it's more beneficial.
Well,
to
you can't do
support,
it in
but-
every ship.
No, okay. What ship can't you do it in? Like A-Wings, Interceptors?
Yeah, A-Wings are like the hardest ship to try and do it in, and
Uh-huh.
even then, you're using an engine and a hull that you're not really supposed to be using.
Mhm.
But the best thing to see it working in is the TIE Bomber,
Right.
because your drifts are so long with the reinforced hull and the slam engine.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it and you can use it, and if you
Yeah.
time it well, then you can get like 3 or 4 bounces. The key thing is not to spam it. Like spamming it doesn't help. That's not how you use it effectively.
Yeah. Like I was saying, I just switched to mouse and keyboard as I was playing support, and I've noticed it in the TIE Bomber, and it's more, and because I had the benefit of I just made the videos too last week or whatever week ago, so I saw the way that people were hitting, especially Gonk. You see him on his HOTAS, how he's just like, you know what I mean? Like and I kind of show it too. It's like multi-drift. You know what I mean? Where Brothers was like faster. So it helps. But the thing is, it's like people kind of consider it like a live forever button. I don't think it is. Like you really have to learn how to use it in ways, right? Like to figure it out. I mean, it helps. I think in support it helps because it helps you extend the drift so that you can recharge your engine enough. That's the benefit to it for me, anyway, that I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's the primary thing. Oh, go on.
There is a downside of Multidrift, which is to make it work at its best, you have to play it with Slam Engine, because you can, like, if you are just spamming Multidrift or Sheriff bouncing on Jet Engine, you are gonna lose all your boost power if you keep your power out of Engine. So yeah, there is some
difficult
downside
enough to do it with Jet Engine in the first place.
Yeah, I've been
you basically just have to be using Slam, otherwise it just doesn't really work at all.
I haven't I know Gonk's been messing around a little bit with Slam on the Y-Wing too, because I haven't messed around too much with the Y-Wing, but I definitely noticed what you're saying now. I'm realizing, I'm like, oh, okay, so maybe that's why I'm not keeping up my engine power sometimes in the Y-Wing like I was, for that reason exactly. I think I may have been throwing in the multi-drift, just because honestly, now that it's like my rhythm sort of on the shift key there in the keyboard, it's kind of hard to like stop a little bit, right? But so TIE Bomber beneficial. I know I haven't been flying too much, but yeah, the Y-Wing very, very different there. So that's the thing. It takes you have to relearn. Like it's not like something you can just walk into and do. It's funny to me that how people regard it, I guess, that way.
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
There's kind of 2 primary benefits. The first is that it does make you more evasive, but it essentially has the same effect as pinballing does. It's just slightly more efficient. And the second is that if you're in a drift and you're going into a rock, then you can bounce and you can not smash into the rock.
Yeah.
So
I for some reason want to try to do that. I end up smashing into the nebulons and stuff. Still, I don't know how. I guess it's just my pilot error skill coming out and shining, but that makes sense. So we were kind of talking to you a little bit before live, and you were saying you're actually on controller and you use basic power management. Do you want to talk? And you're kind of talking about the drawbacks. You want to, get into that at all?
The drawbacks of basic power management, they are quite obvious.
All of them are disabled.
Yeah, like in Hutt Cartel, we call people who are on basic power management the disabled ones. So it's me and Spoony. You cannot shield skip. There is a lot of things you can't do. The problem is that on the controller you cannot have the max the button to max power.
That's right.
So you have to get on a mouse and keyboard controls and
It's annoying. I was
have it
using
mapped for a
anti-micro.
controller.
I was using an anti-micro
Exactly.
programmed or some program that just switches your D-pad so that it's like Z, X, C, or wherever you're maximized.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it is like a whole thing that you have to do to set it up for.
But there is an issue. Even with that, it doesn't work properly. The reason that, behind that is that there is a weird thing that happens with the game, and it only happens with controllers, which is that when you are switching between keyboard controls and controller controls, the game seems to forget the controller inputs when you switch to keyboards and the keyboard inputs when you switch to controller, which means that if you are turning whilst moving your power with this mapping on keyboard, it's gonna forget that you are turning, so it's gonna be extremely hard to fly. And I've discussed this with the players who play with that way, like Zultri, for example. They just say that they were getting used to this disadvantage, but I really couldn't fly this way at all.
I know. Okay, so I was flying with that, and I know exactly what you mean. What I found is it doesn't, just the way that you start to like boost, switch the power over, and drift, and then switch it back. Just the way that you start to do it, you do it in a way that it doesn't happen. It does happen from time to time. Don't get me wrong. But you start to play to minimize it just without even thinking about it. So that does happen, and I think that's what was Zultri. But to your point, it still does happen. Don't get me wrong. It definitely does happen at times where I'm just not turning. Like, I'm drifting, and I expect to do a fast turn, and it just doesn't. I have to, like, kind of boost drift again and stuff like that. So you're right, for sure. Sorry, go on, too, about it.
Yeah, so, I mean, you explained pretty much everything. So, I really disliked this way of playing. I really couldn't make it work. I was having huge issues flying this way because sometimes I was like, why am I not turning anymore? What's happening? So what we decided with the Hutt Cartel, because I was starting to suffer from it as a support player, is that I switched off support. I went on ships like flex builds are less dependent of the multidrift, or sheriff bounting.
X-wing
so I can
defender.
still play them properly. X-wing defender
for sure. I don't know if people realize that, because people do talk about. And I'm actually working kind of a video about what is a multi-drift, what is a pinball, and like showing how effectively you can pinball, and it's specifically with the defender. We're showing it, I think, with Nathan, who's like a good example of a defender pilot who's, he's got an under one average stat. Same with yourself too, right? Like, you are such a great flex player. You're a great support
you know what?
player. Yeah, man. I hate playing against your defender for sure.
I'm gonna drop something here. I think that the basic power management is stronger than APM on defender.
Oh, wow.
The reason is that on defender you fly it in a very, very different way than any other ship. You are basically boost keeping instead of boost gasping. You are spamming, and there is also there is a decay, a cooldown before your boost power starts to decay when you shift out of it, and this cooldown is very higher on the defender than any other ship. And all of this combined makes it easier and I just think stronger to fly the defender with basic power management, because you have to switch power so many times that in terms of human capacities you just can't do it properly enough, I feel, on APM. And also everything recharges so fast on a defender that being on basic doesn't change much. Really, it doesn't change much.
Yeah, when you think about it too, like the reason people are doing the advantage of advanced power management is that you can fully move all of the power out of engines into weapons and shields, so you do these longer dead drifts, right? The defender, it's gonna do super long dead drifts anyway, like, and you don't need, you're gonna have that time in it. And also what you said too, Nathan has said something similar flying the defender, is he gets into these points where he's like skipping, and so when he's skipping he's charging engines, and when you're shooting, or sorry, when he's skipping, he's charging weapons, and then when he's shooting, he's charging engines. So you're just doing it the way that, like, I remember watching Randalorians a lot earlier. They were flying their X-wings like that way a lot at first. It totally makes sense to me, and I feel like that's interesting. So an Epic Polar Bear even had the question: if APM gets banned out in SCL, how big of a shakeup to the scene do you think we could see?
Empire wins.
Yeah.
No, but like seriously, you're taking
'cause-
away essentially the biggest advantage. Sorry, not the biggest advantage, but like you're severely crippling the rebels. Like,
I think so, though.
shields.
The Y-wing suffers the most, and maybe support ships on both factions too. Honestly, it would. You would see more. You would see the Y-wings disappear after the opening. Maybe go to like single farmer and more X-wings out there. I guess that would. I don't know, something like that. It would shift the thing then too. It's yeah, you're right. The TIE bombers are still great. The TIE fighters are still great. Defenders are still great. It's just seems like the biggest hit would be to the Y-wing if they got rid of APM and the support ships. So yeah, I think you're right. It just makes the Empire that much stronger.
The support is gonna suffer from it, and I think it's good because support is really hard to catch right now.
They are, but also if you have 3 people on someone, they pretty much do die. Like a weird, I don't know.
That's true.
It's like
no,
like,
you're right.
It's both ways. It's both ways, though.
The thing is that
the
big thing with APM is that it makes you able to play the scrambler shields, which is definitely the best shield in the world right now.
Yeah,
because you can negate the downside of it with APM and shield skimming.
You're completely right.
Y-wing had it.
It needs a lot of skills, of course. It needs an amount of training, like 100 of hours. But if you manage to do it well, it's extremely hard to kill you. If APM gets banned, I think nobody will play scrambler shields anymore.
No, they won't. You're right. You're right completely.
No, you can't. 200% delay? You kidding me? Like,
and then that's also affecting. Well, not necessarily. I guess the X-wing. I don't know. So it's affecting a lot of ships there that are on the Republic side, though. Really taking away from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely. I don't know. It's tough to see. It would be interesting to see it. I mean, it would definitely affect the kills. It would increase the kills for sure. You would see a different game, and I would think it would probably make the games longer because you see more kills, so flips would happen a bit quicker. But I think at the end, the Empire would just dominate.
It would benefit Hutt a lot. Like we like killing. We've always loved killing. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point too. We talk about we were talking about a little bit of how you guys beat Splinter, and then you also beat them in the series too. So I mean, all year, right? Like that's been one of the toughest teams, one of the most unkillable teams. We're just talking about how much you guys like to kill. So what was the strategy going in against Splinter in that tournament?
Oh gosh, win.
Okay, I'm gonna try to be a bit more transparent here than Sheriff. We had a strategy.
Yeah, we did.
But they double out-faced us and won the flip every time except the last game. We were starting to freak out when they beat us on the first game as we were Empire, because we know that Empire has an advantage, and we beat, like in the Saturday, we beat every team as Empire without even losing a frigate most of the time.
Oh, wow.
And then we play Splinter, and they just destroyed us as we were playing Empire. And we were like, okay, everything falls apart. What do we do? What we decided is that we just... I don't really know how it happened, because I think they did a lot of mistakes, especially I think they forgot to burn the raiders sometimes, because we pushed, like we were so hungry. Like when we get into attack after losing 2 shield gens, we know that we have to finish the game in this attack phase, and they still had 2 frigates, and we're like, okay, we have to just take the entire game in one phase. And we pushed so hard, we were like just taking every risk possible. They were extremely busy defending us, and sometimes on 2 of the 5 games, if I remember well, they just forgot to burn a raider. Wow. So the raider helped killing the frigates and went to the flagship, and helped burning the flagship. And Yeah, I think they also switched to a very very meta OBJ style,
Yeah.
and which means that like every OBJ team, their attacks are very good, and then their defense suffer a lot. And if they lose this momentum, they start getting out of phase. It's very
Yeah.
hard for them to flip. So it's a big downside of playing full OBJ. If you don't get out phases, you are gonna struggle a lot getting these flips.
Yeah, no, I think
Certainly
it
a
was,
lot of
I
the
mean,
pressure came from Scalp. Like basically all the pressure in terms of PK and hunting people down was from Scalp. The rest of it was just like standard farm and OBJ race.
so I think a couple things too. So you guys were using like a single farmer in some cases, and then three players basically hunting as PK players. Sort of like what's the thinking there, and yeah, how did you decide to do that?
Well, we've never really liked playing the meta. Uh, we're always
That's
looking
the thing.
for. I mean, like that's about as simple as it gets. We don't really like playing the meta, so we always try and look for something new, something different, something to kind of get an edge against certain teams or certain strategies and playstyles. A lot of it has kind of meant that we do go more PK focus. But because we go more PK focused, then that gives our OBJ more time to do the OBJ, or to do the farm because they're less pressured.
That's right.
And
So
It's almost like the one farmer is like baiting their PK players to come hunt them, and then your PK players will go in on them almost.
yeah,
It's a
exactly.
trap.
I mean, I might have
That's the
painted a
idea.
target on my Y-wing. I'm not sure. Like, I've not looked behind there in a while.
So what's kind of interesting is that after each tournament, we have a kind of a meeting with the team that we call a hutting, and we go through what went through good and wrong, and we look at the meta and we look at what we want to do next. And when the meta started to shift to OBJ race and the CA gold style of playing, we were like, okay, we never want to play like this. Even if it's the way to win, we never want to get into this. We want to try to find a way to win that is different. We want to try to not copy the meta, but get ahead of the meta. That's basically
Totally makes
our
sense.
goal.
Yeah.
So we tried a bunch of things, and if you look at it, that's quite kind of interesting because people just realize that we play one farmer only, but we have been doing it since like March, I think.
Yeah, we've been doing one farmer strat for a long time.
Well, you know what it is? It's because we see the success, and then we're like, "Oh, look at this! This is new. Oh, look at this new thing they're doing! Oh, wow! Yeah, it's totally that. It stands out more, I guess."
Randos, like each rando spanking was helping us getting better at PKing and at protecting this solo farmer.
Yeah.
I think they helped us in a weird way.
Of course, don't mean getting the reps in. You know, the other thing too. So you built this PK style. You get through Splinter with it, and then you see IG in the finals of that one, and they've kind of got their own kind of like PK different. They're sort of like also been a counter meta team all year, because they haven't been a resupply team like ever. So
That's true.
What was the approach like going against IG? How did you shift gears for them? Were you guys still going like 100 miles an hour? What were you guys doing?
To be honest, I think we were all just pretty knackered. We just slugged it out against Splinter. And before that, like we had Tangerine, and we had 4 games against them.
Yeah.
Granted, there was a bit of a break, but it's like coming out of that Splinter game, five.
There were no break after Splinter, and it was already quite late. And also, we knew that we had to fear IG, and what we knew is that I mean, what we said before getting into IG, before getting into the tournament, is that we knew that we were currently not able to beat IG as Rebels with our current strat. Because in our current strat, we lose a lot of opening phases, and as Rebels, you need to win opening phases to win the game. So our goal was to make it to semifinals. It was not to beat IG, honestly. So we went against IG knowing that we were gonna have a hard time and that we were not gonna win as Rebels, and as they had 3 Empire games, we knew we were gonna lose. So, but they still beat us even when they were on Rebels once, and once on Saturday too. So yeah, they are very, very good with this
Mhm.
style.
Yeah, I mean they have. I think the thing that IG's been doing right now on New Republic that is interesting is that they mix it up too. It's not just the Narcissus using tractor beam. Sometimes he's got missiles. Sometimes he's got ion torque. That I don't know. That part throws people off too. That their torque carrier is changing. It's just interesting that way. So I like I like IG style a lot because they're just like you guys. They're doing different things from the meta.
Yeah, I love them.
It certainly gave us a lot to think about.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, everyone. I mean, you gotta look at their game and think about it. So yeah, now we're later in the year. What are you guys looking at for the end? I mean, you guys haven't quite. I mean, you can't say you clinched it. You guys are looking really great. You're at the top. Another strong finish. I feel like you guys can make the finals. So I mean, looking good for that.
Yeah, we've got our sights set on the championship.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get a ticket for that first, and then after that we will look at taking that down if we can as well.
Actually, well, right now you have to get serious. You have your biggest game of the year versus Orange Squadron coming up this week. Actually, you gotta get your sights on that.
Our sister squadron, yeah. We've been rooting for you guys all year. It's, like your loss is our loss type thing. It's crazy.
So yeah, we got that SCL game this week. That'll be fun. Anything else you guys want to talk about here before we finish up?
Please make a Squadrons 2.
No, yeah. What I can add is that for Hutt Cartel, we have been a way of managing the team and the goals of the team that is, I think, kind of different from everyone else. Like I think it was the hunting of January or February, we decided that we don't care about any Cal Cup because what we want to do is to win the championship and not what's before that. So we have been managing the trainings, we have been managing the players, the practice, in order to have our peak of skill, I'd say, in 1 month. So sometimes we went into Cal Cups with unfinished strats, with being completely unready because it was just trainings for us. Our goal is really to make it, to win the next major because it's 2 weeks before the championship and to win the championship. So I'm very happy that after being taken down on the top 16 in every Cal Cup, we made it to the semifinals. It shows that we are following this curve we want to follow.
You're peaking at the right time for sure. Like it's on schedule for sure.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Everything's going to plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we did kind of. I mean, like we were still being serious and things in the first split, but we recognized that it wasn't really going to happen, so we just decided to change our approach and our thought process to it.
It's all thanks to Sheriff. He has been the coach of us from the beginning, and he has been the one who has planned every training. I mean, I've joined him 1 month ago because it was going to be a lot of work for him, and working on his individual skills plus the strategy plus managing the team was a bit too much.
Right.
I started helping him, but he has been the one managing every training of the Hutt since January, December? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I remember of times where he was in with Radiant. I could see them on the Discord, and they were going through the files on the game, each one by one, trying to find every data they can. With Radiant, they were grinding for data for 6-8 hours without stopping. I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Can't you just play?
I mean, we found some shit out. We found some stuff out.
I mean, that's how deep people are going in Squadrons if you want to have success, right? You got to look at that hard data and figure it out. Optimize and maximize. That's what everyone's talking about all the time. But
yeah, I'll go get those toe macros in.
Yeah, you got to get me out.
You'll see me in the championship. I'll get my toe cam out for you.
How can you get up to 100 miles per hour if you don't do that, right?
Heel and toe.
Do you know what I'm doing? These 100 miles an hour mentions. Do you know what I'm getting at here at all?
Yes.
You've seen it? Have you seen it?
No, he hasn't.
He hasn't seen it? Okay, I think I'm supposed to
Oh,
do the
what the
reveal
fuck?
right now then. Here
I
we
swear
go.
to God, if you've made like a montage or something.
I didn't make
Jesus.
it, but I'm sending you the message right now.
guys.
Okay.
Oh
Ian.
no, is this...
Yeah, who did that? I wonder.
this is
I
ridiculous.
gotta
Are you
play it for
kidding
this.
me?
I gotta play it for the thing too. Here, I guess. Oh wait, wrong one.
Oh God, has it got like every game? Oh, that is fantastic. That makes me happy. That is absolutely fantastic.
100 miles an hour, let's go.
I'm playing it right now on the stream.
100 miles an hour.
100 miles an hour.
100 miles an hour. 100 miles an hour. No stopping. 100 miles an hour. 100 miles an hour.
Say the thing.
100 miles an hour.
Are we stopping?
No!
Yeah, let's go, let's go.
Yeah, too. I just noticed you got the hand in there. Hutt Cartel, you guys are so fun.
It's okay. It's Sheriff. I have to. It's Lemming's fault.
Oh my God.
I may have helped him convincing him, but it's his fault. It's him.
That's fantastic.
It's amazing. It's beautiful. I'm glad. I'll put little memes too of orange there. That's so good. Guys,
I think that should go in the wall of shame, I think.
Maybe I feel both. I don't know. It could go anywhere. Guys, thank you so much for being on the podcast here. This is awesome to go over everything, talk about Hutt strategies, and yeah, good luck in the Cal Cup coming up and SCL and everything else.
Yeah, you two guys. It'd be fun seeing you in the next game.
Thank you. Oh, wait,
Thank
I should
you
say
for inviting us.
Sheriff as well. I should say you stream as well, so I'll put your Twitch down below, live in as well.
Yeah, I
add
do.
yours
Yeah.
in there. So and anyone else, and yeah, guys, thank you for being on the podcast again. I really appreciate it, and thanks everybody for checking it out. This is the Star Wars Squadrons podcast. We'll catch you next time.